The COVID-19 pandemic, with its restrictions, has certainly altered our normal routines and recreational pursuits. Now, one of the interesting fallouts has been an increase in people buying collectibles such as hockey cards, which is very popular when I was a kid. Joining me now to talk about it is Grant Gatto. He's the manager of Pirates Cove, a collectibles and memorabilia store located right here in Lethbridge. Grant, welcome to Bridge City News.
Thanks for having me.
Now, are you seeing the same thing here in Southern Alberta? Have you had more people come in looking for trading cards right now?
Oh, very much so. We got our store here and our store in Strathmore. We've noticed an increase in both places. I think a lot of people are stuck at home. They're either digging their old collections out of the closet or they're binging some old media that's spurring the urge on again.
You know, it's funny, I think I must have around 600 or 700 hockey cards, a lot of the old mid to late 70s O-Pee-Chees. Are they still pretty hot right now, a hot item, the O-Pee-Chees?
They are very much so. And the problem with a lot of that though is everybody's digging that out of their closet, and the Chinese factories that make all the supplies for it, they've been shut down. So there's been a back order for almost every single supply industry wide for the last year too, because so many people are getting back into it.
You know, maybe I should bring some of my cards into you then. You can appraise them and maybe I can sell some of them to you too.
We'd love to see them for sure.
So outside of just being stuck at home and maybe reliving some great memories from the past as kids, why do you think people are collecting a lot of these cards right now and other memorabilia right now?
Well, there's a little bit of extra money rolling around with the benefits checks. We've noticed that the money definitely flows that way. And there's some people that are out of work and they're hoping for making a little side money on it too. If you've had something that's been in the closet for 10 years, you need some extra bucks. Yeah, it's time to part with it.
How about in the closet for 45 years? You know, it's funny, I have this
Even
collection.
better.
I have this collection of O-Pee-Chees that are rounded on the corners and they're autographed. Like it's, you know, like
Nice.
Daryl Sittler, Lanny McDonald, you know, Guy Lafleur, Larry Robinson, Rogie Van Shawn, you know, there's a set of 21. They were all autographed,
Excellent.
not like original autographs, of course, but from the factory, right? I guess that might be worth a
Yeah.
few bucks.
Oh, for sure. And there's a lot of people trying to finish those sets. So bring those in if you're interested in parting with them.
Now, I heard something recently I was reading a story about a Wayne Gretzky rookie hockey card that brought in over $1 million.
Yeah, that's when you get into the graded cards. When you send a sorry, with some collectibles, you have the option of getting them graded. So you can send it away to a professional. They'll review it, analyze it, appraise it, and put on a scale of 1 to 10 on, or depending on the industry, coins are a little different on how good that is. That particular Gretzky was a perfect 10 out of 10, best one that's ever been graded or checked. So that one's a bit of an anomaly. Normally they go for about 1,500 to 2 grand ish, depending on shape.
So is Gretzky still a popular card, regardless if it's a rookie card or not?
Yeah. Gretzky, at the last time I checked and I was pricing some stuff out, he has over 52,000 individual different hockey cards. So somebody could just collect Gretzky, go broke, and still not even be a tenth of the way there.
So what are some of the other big names that people are looking to collect outside of Gretzky? Maybe a Bobby Orr rookie card? How about Guy Lafleur, Daryl Sittler, some of those other names?
You can't go wrong with any of the Hall of Famers. There's always going to be a market for those guys. But there's so many new rookies every year. There's a new crop coming up, and that keeps the hobby going fresh.
Now, outside of hockey cards, how about maybe football or baseball or even basketball cards?
Running into the same supply issue problems with those. They're heavily collected. They're underproduced right now, and whatever's being made is getting picked up by scalpers, and yeah, flipped on eBay. The stuff that we can find, it's just the crazy high end stuff where $300 or $400 a pack, you get 2 cards in it. But it's really, really nice stuff to make up for it.
You know, it's funny, I'm just thinking back to a lot of these rare hockey cards I had, and I put them into the spokes of my bicycle when I was a kid, you know, and now here we are 40 years later, these things could probably pay off the mortgage to my house if I would have taken better care of them, right?
I am glad you did that, and I'm glad for all the mothers that threw away the collections, because I wouldn't be in business if everybody kept their stuff. It wouldn't be worth anything.
Now, Grant, you also have a great selection of Hot Wheels vehicles. You know, it's not just kids, but a lot of adults. I mean, I've been into your shop and I purchased a 65 Fastback Mustang Hot Wheel to add to my little collection as well. Are Hot Wheels still a hot item?
Oh, for sure, for sure. They're priced perfect for collectors. $2 a car. They're priced perfect for kids. And the way that they're marketed too, they've got the mainline ones, hundreds of different options a year. Uh, you could collect all those and not get into the higher end stuff. Now, Hot Wheels also have what they call treasure hunt cars. And when a store gets a case of 72 cars, only one in there is going to be marked as a treasure hunt car. And they usually have a little flame symbol on there to show you what you're after. And those are highly sought after. And there's even one step above super treasure hunts that the collectors go crazy for. They come with real rubber tires and fancier metal flake paint jobs.
Grant, would you say that maybe some of the muscle cars, like the American muscle cars, are hot items? Some of the Mopars, the Chargers, you know, the Challengers, and then also the Mustangs and Camaros?
Definitely. In the Hot Wheels and in the bigger 1/18 scale cars too. The muscle cars in the bigger scale, you definitely can't keep in stock. And that's another one where they'll produce a batch and then you don't get your 65 Mustang, you better hope that somebody saved it on their shelf and is willing to part with it.
I saw as well there was a Mustang, I think it was a VW bus with a surfboard on it that went for over, was it over $100,000 or something? One Hot Wheel?
Yeah, the original releases, they call them the Sweet 16 cars, and there's some crazy little variations where they might have ran out of paint at the factory, so we'll just finish up the day with this other paint and call it good. But 40, 50 years later, those cars from the end of the batch are rare as heck and very, very expensive.
Now, what about some of the other types of toy cars like dinky cars? Are they still quite popular or is there more Hot Wheels?
Uh, there's so many different ones. Hot Wheels is good for the average collector, but the older collectors, they love getting into the dinky toys. Any of the older Matchbox, the Lesney toys. Yeah, there's always going to be a market for those. And the trick is finding them in good shape because most of them spent the last 40 years buried in a garden someplace.
You know, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I've seen some people that have, you know, antique toys still in the box, never been touched by human hands, which are worth a fortune. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, what a sad childhood. You never had a chance to play with your toy, right?
Open it and play with it. Even when I sell something expensive here, a mint in package transformer from the 1980s, I tell a person, open it, put the stickers on it, enjoy it. That's what it was meant for. You're the last buyer. That's what enjoy it.
So, what are some of the older toys you have in your store there, Grant?
Uh, it's always changing. We rely on trades for a lot of stuff, so it's kind of whatever comes through the door. We've had a lot of old tin toys from the early 1900s come through here. I remember having a little toy wind-up boat with a propeller on the end of it. It was from about the 1940s, and every single time I picked that up, it drew blood. Every corner on it was razor sharp, and it was a children's toy from back in your grandpa's day. It's a miracle they made it to this age.
Wow. How about for the ladies and the young ladies too, like classic Barbies? I bet you they're fetching a good penny too, some of the dolls.
They are. We don't have many come through here though, unfortunately. I don't know if that stuff ends up in the antique shops or not. I wouldn't turn it away if it did come in, but yeah, few and far between. I hate to say. I think a lot of the Barbie collectors they hold on to it forever. I don't blame them.
How about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? That was also pretty big when I was a kid. Is it popular now?
Not as much as it used to be, but anytime we get some of the old vintage toys, even the loose ones, out of package, missing all the accessories, I'll throw them in the dollar bin and they'll be gone the same day. People want them just to put on the shelf because they probably lost the accessories that quick when they were a kid anyway. So it looks just like they remembered.
How about some Star Wars memorabilia? Do you have much of that too?
Lots and lots of Star Wars stuff. It's been suffering the last couple of years since Disney took over. They really hurt the brand, unfortunately. The It probably dropped about to 10% of what it was before. Hopefully, the way the Mandalorian's been going is picking things back up and salvaging that. But thankfully, Star Trek is on a second and third renaissance, and it's bringing in a lot of collectors too.
You know, I joke with a lot of my buddies too. I say there were only three Star Wars movies: Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. There was nothing else after that. They're like, "Oh, you've missed out on so many great movies, Hal." You know?
and lots of good books.
Oh yeah, let's now speaking of which, let's talk about comic books. What kind of old comic books are people really interested in?
The comic books, it's another one where unfortunately a lot of the industry is shifting towards digital. Like you buy a new comic now, and almost all of them come with another digital copy that you can download and read on your phone. That way you can grab the original, bag it away, and put it in the closet and never have to touch the thing. But I think that kind of goes against the spirit of comics. So we always sell our comics half price, even the old ones. We want to get the young collectors in there and keep them interested. And if you can trick a kid into reading with a comic book, not a bad thing either. So
I'm wondering if maybe some of the comic books went up in value with the release of some of these Marvel and DC movies.
they definitely did. I had an Iron Man #1 issue, and it booked in at $80, and it sat on my shelf for probably 4 years and didn't move. The movie came out, and just for giggles, I checked the price. It jumped to $1,000. I
Wow.
changed the price to $1,000. It sold within a week.
Wow. That is amazing. That's a pretty good profit. Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I get for carrying it for 35 years.
Well, I guess if you spread it out over that period of time, you're right. Grant, how about old coins? Do you carry many of those?
Yeah, lots of old coins. That's We got to rely on trade because coins you can't really order from a supplier. You have to wait for Grandpa's coin collection to come in here, and but we specialize in that. And with silver doing a bit of a run or two commodity wise, it's hard to keep in stock. So we're always looking for people to bring in their coin collections.
Instead of just old collectible coins, what about coins that have been discontinued? Let's say the German Deutschmark. I've got a whole bunch of those at home, and maybe some Italian lira that no longer exist. Are they worthless or are they actually worth some money?
Kids love them because they're like pirate treasure. We've got a great big bin of 3 for $1 coins, and that's where all my weird foreign stuff goes. And kids will get a great big bag, and it's cheap as heck to get out of here. And they got a pretty good fancy collection. Because a lot of those coins, especially the foreign ones, are really neat.
What are some of the more unusual items that you carry that collectors may be interested in?
Oh, we've had some weird things come through here. I've had some coal brought up from the wreck of the Titanic. Um, uh, Little Aztec statue and a meteorite. I wanted to rub them together and see if I got superpowers, but the boss advised me against that one.
That's good. Now, do you have a lot of regulars who come in, usually, picking up items from you, maybe selling you items at the same time? Kind of like what we see with Pawn Stars, when people go in and they're always buying and selling from Rick and the guys? Not that you have a pawn shop, you've got a collector's shop, obviously, but,
We got a nerdy version of that. I don't take offense to that because yeah, we got to get our stuff from somewhere, and it's people bringing them in.
So if a viewer has some old stuff like we mentioned sitting in the garage or maybe tucked away somewhere in an old desk, cards, coins, comics, magazines, they shouldn't throw them away. They should maybe give you a call, see if something you might be interested in purchasing.
Oh, for sure. You never know what has value. One person's trash is another person's collectible. So yeah, bring it in, especially if it's something that's been sitting in there for years. There's a fine line between collector and hoarder. So maybe somebody will appreciate better than you. Bring it in. We'll definitely give you better than a garage sale for it, and we'll find somebody who will appreciate it properly.
So how do you actually figure out the value on it? Let's go back to some of the hockey cards because we're Canadian. We love hockey here in Canada. Let's say I bring in my Joe Sakic. I've got a rookie Joe Sakic. I've got a rookie Matt Sundin. I've got a rookie Ed Belfour. Like, do you actually look it up? Do you have a guide where you look up the
Oh
pricing?
yeah, the good thing about cards is since 1990, there's been a magazine come out called the Beckett, and it's pretty much the Bible on anything close to cardboard. We just look up the price on there. You know what the price is on there, and then we go back and forth, and yeah, find something comfy.
And to make sure that a card's in good shape, so the corners should not be bent at all, I guess, no creases in it.
Yeah, they want to be as crisp and perfect and fresh out of the pack as possible. But when you get to the older cards, that's just not possible. So you got to have a little bit of leeway for that. A lot of them were cut really, really crooked right from factory because a lot of them were hand cut instead of machine cut. You might see the picture or part of the card next to it bleeding over onto it. You got to have some leeway for that. You're not going to get your $1 million Gretzky, but if you have a dog-eared Gretzky, you still got several $100s. So
And I guess we shouldn't laminate it either, right? Because that may damage the card.
no, definitely not. That's a hard no. We've had so many good ones come through here, and it's just heartbreaking because they'll either take a hole punch and then pin it up to their bedroom walls, or laminate it, or tape it into a book, into a photo album, and it cooks the card, but maybe it'll fill somebody's set for a lot cheaper than buying a mint version would be.
Okay, before I let you go, I got to ask you one more thing. I'm a big fan of lava lamps. Are they still popular? Are they making a comeback? Please tell me they're making a comeback, lava lamps. Not the blue and the yellow ones. I'm talking about the red ones, right? They actually look like lava.
They never went away. My son has one for a nightlight that, yeah, we just bought him a couple weeks ago, and it's fantastic.
That is awesome. Glad to hear that. Thanks so much for joining us today and the trip down memory lane, Grant. I really appreciate it.
For sure. Thanks for having me.